think it is, though. Okay. So let me just share this link.
Yep, I see it showing up in a few places here. Tag a few people who asked me to tag them before we get started. This is gonna be a good one.
We'll see. We will see about that.
I did have like a good 65 people say they wanted me to tag them in it because they wanted to watch it. So it's very cool. The impact that you have. You ready to go?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay.
Just wanted to. All right, it's on, so it's good.
I see it. So, Austin, we met a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
We met on Facebook, of all places. And this is one of the reasons why I tell people that, there's the people who don't like to be on Facebook, but this is one of the reasons why I say you can meet some pretty cool people on Facebook, and you can have some pretty cool, even business relationships. So we've worked together for now over a year. I've gotten to know you, your family, all of your companies, and you have an incredible journey. When we first started working together, I didn't know about where you had started from. And I think that it's, something that needs to be shared because people, it's such an inspiration to the people out there who are trying to build their businesses, who are trying to create companies. And, it's tough. There's a lot of tough things about being an entrepreneur. But the success and the journey that you have had is something that I think a lot of people can take some good lessons away from. So can you tell us, I want to know, how did you do it? I want to know. Tell us where you started from. Why don't you start there? What happened? Where were you before the company started?
In rehab.
In rehab.
Yeah.
What was the date on that? Put this in perspective.
Like November 2016.
2016, and it's the beginning of 2021 now. So not really that long ago in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, about 4 years. I don't know how it happened or why. I remember exactly where I was. I don't know. I mean, I've talked to a few other people too that kind of, I guess, came from a similar, just, I don't know, like everybody has hardship. It's all different. We all go through different things. I think that struggle is relative to where you're at. And it kind of just boiled down to I'd been fired from every job I ever had. And it's a fact, every single one. I'm sorry if you're out there and you've employed me. I was a terrible employee. Is what it is.
Better boss than employee.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like, enough's enough. I want to do something with myself. And also, I think it was more of, I'm glad it was like an emotional cause that kind of drove me at first, because it was really just going through the rehab process with like my family and like trying to find a place. And long story short, I ended up in a Scientology-based rehab. I'm not a Scientologist, nor did I know it was a Scientology rehab when I went there.
Oh, you're cutting out a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me now? You can't hear me? Like at all?
No, you're cutting out.
Can you guys hear me? Can the people that are here hear me? I know it's a little delayed, so it might take a second. There's always technical difficulty. I don't think it would be me going live without that. You can't hear me though?
Now I can.
Okay.
Just a second ago, it picked back up.
Okay. So basically, it's just going through that process with my family and just seeing how much of a pain in the ass it was and how much deception was involved in it, I guess. In that
Deception in what? What do you mean?
I ended up in a fucking Scientology rehab and no one, you know what I mean? Like, they don't tell you any of that. Just, I guess, really that there's no one there to help my parents through what they were going through. They got me in there, but, like, there was no one to help them. And, like, what I've learned about addiction, it's, like, it's dynamic and progressive, and it's like a cancerous cell that affects the whole body. Just because you remove one cell doesn't mean the cancer goes away. You have to heal the whole thing, and I just kind of realized that this was a terrible process. There wasn't like an objective third party I could call, like a trip advisor for rehab kind of thing. You just kind of got what you got, and so that was my goal. At least in the beginning, was just like, I just want to make this process better. I just kind of saw a need, and I was like, and you know what? Like, I think that I could do it. I'd actually worked for a place that did interventions and stuff like that, and they did something similar, and I wanted it to be even better than that. And so I just kind of, I know exactly where I was in the place. I know, like, it was like 2:30 in the afternoon. I just got out of this group, and I just sat down and kind of just made the decision. I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try it. At that point, I had absolutely nothing to lose. Like, I literally nothing. Didn't have a dollar to my name. No one really liked me. No one wanted me around. I had destroyed 99% of the relationships in my life. I didn't really do anything. Like, just didn't really accomplish anything. I didn't have anything that motivated me. Zero things that inspired me.
You're cutting out again, unless it's just me.
It might just be you. Because the voice thing is still showing up. Unless I'm moving away from the mic. You can hear me now?
A little bit, but not as much as before.
Oh, goddamn technical difficulties always. They always gotta be happening. Now?
That's better.
Okay, so basically, I just saw a need, and I wanted to try and fill it because I just was sick of doing nothing with my life. Like, I just felt like I was in a perpetual... I was like, you ever seen where they, like, freeze, like, supposedly they froze Walt Disney alive? I forgot what that process is called, but that's, like, that was my life. It's like I was just biding time until I either died or something else happened. And I didn't want it to be the former, you know? I didn't want that to be the mark I left on the world. Is I die, and nothing has changed, but for the worse.
Yeah. It's like you were, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like you're saying it's this weird place after recovery where you're trying to figure out what your purpose is.
Yeah. Really just like, what's the point? I didn't know what the point was to any of it. And then at the same token, it was like, I can't keep doing what I was doing. And then it was also like, I hate working for other people. I don't do well with it. And like, nothing I've ever done, because I hadn't done anything that I'd ever really given a shit about. Every job I had, except for one, working at that orphanage, that job was like extremely fulfilling, but it was not sustainable. Like, I could have never like afforded to get a house, have a family. Like, I couldn't live off that wage, you know? So, other than that, I'd hated every job. It was the only job I ever liked. And I just decided that I was going to try it. And I had no idea what I was doing. 0%. I didn't know how to build a website. I didn't know what CRM was. Like, I didn't know any of that shit. I had a phone and a mobile hotspot, and a friend of mine that was like 18, he had also just relapsed, so he was like 60 days off of getting high, and he was just like, let's give it a whirl. Let's give it the old college try. And I was like, I can't pay you. And he's like, that's fine. And we worked I told you the story, my grandma just passed away. And I would say a conversation with her actually was pretty impactful. She had never known that I had used drugs. She just thought I was like an idiot that couldn't get his life together. This is my grandma, so they wanted to prevent her from having to live with that. And so she just thought I was an idiot.
Careful, you're cutting out again.
Move it closer. Now? No? Was it just like low volume?
There we go. Now you're back.
Basically just, she just thought I was an idiot, that just couldn't hold a job, and she never understood why everyone was always so upset with me. And cause she didn't know I was getting high, she didn't know any of that. She thought like, why can't this asshole hold a job? And like, why is everyone so angry with him all the time? Why are family gatherings so stressful? Because my parents just held it in between just us. And she was dying. And so basically I kind of pitched it to my dad, like, look, I don't have to tell her the whole thing, but like either I don't see her again and she passes, which that's unfortunate, or I just tell her a version of it. Like, hey, I struggled, but I'm doing better now, and here's my plan for life. And because I wanted to consider his feelings too. Like, he doesn't want her to know that's fine, but then she dies and I don't see her, and there's what it is. And so he said, like, just don't tell her the whole thing, and I didn't. But I told her, I struggled with doing drugs and drinking and all that stuff, and but my life is kind of on track now. And then I kind of pitched her the idea for the business. And I told her, like, Grim, this is the first time I've ever been excited about something that could lead to something more. And she just kind of was like, well, good. I'm very, I always knew you could do something. Just didn't know what it would be. And she said, because she was actually an entrepreneur too, believe it or not, for being a woman in like the 50s. She did like these welcome newsletters and all this stuff. And I guess she made pretty good money. I never really knew this until she was like dying. But I guess she did really well for like a woman in the 50s. I'm losing
your volume again. Sorry,
which
bud.
is unbelievable. But she just kind of supported me. And she said, do what you have to do to get it done. And then when she passed, me and my buddy just kind of just like took over her house. And we worked in there, like they had the heat off and everything because they were just going to sell it. And I kind of just like camped out there against everyone's wishes. Because remember, I was just out of rehab, so no one trusted me. No one thought I was up to doing anything that was above board. But we just camped out in there wearing like full winter outfits because they had the heat turned all the way down and shit. We had no internet. We used a mobile hotspot and like my computer. We had one computer that we just had to kind of share. And we just started. I don't know, we literally just Googled shit. And then got a domain, picked the name, got a website, started building the website. And that was kind of the start of all that.
So that was how Never Alone Recovery started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first business.
Yeah.
But nonprofit.
Well, kind of both, I guess, in a way. But yeah, it's the one that started it all.
And it was born out of recovery.
Yeah.
So what was it that you liked about running that business that made you think, I want to go into doing more than this?
I didn't even like it for a couple of years. Like, I didn't even really register it as running a business for probably 2 years. Like, in my head, it was just like kind of a job, like a means to an end kind of thing, but something I also like liked to do. And like I liked the part about helping people, like so it fulfilled there. And then we started working and doing some more interventions, and then we started getting paid for a few and like doing real work where there's bringing in income. And that's when it kind of hit me like, okay, I could live off this. Like, like I could make 40, 50, 60 grand a year and like be okay. Because up until that point, I don't think I'd ever made more than like, I don't know, like $15 an hour at most. So like I'm used to making like $12 an hour. So it was like mind blowing when I could make $20 an hour. Like, that blew my mind, and I was like, this is as good as it gets, and I was happy with that. And I think that's an essential part that I don't see in a lot of people that are trying to start a business. Is like, dude, I was over the fucking moon to make $20 an hour. Like, I was entirely satisfied with that and grateful for it. And like, I see a lot of people, it's like, I just want to make 500 grand a year now. And like, I think that's a detrimental aspect to this. That like, I think there's a fine line between like doing what you like and getting paid to do it and being happy, and then like just kind of working for yourself in the same like drawn out, beat down way you work for somebody else. You know, because if I'm treating myself like shit, then I'm bad. Like, if I left the job to start a business because my boss was always riding me and complaining and I had all these deadlines, but then I start managing myself and I do the same thing, what's the difference? Entrepreneurship's way more stressful because it's with you all the time. It never leaves. You don't get to go home. But I don't know. I think it was then that it kind of registered for me. It just kind of became part of who I am, I think.
So I think one of the things that I've also realized is essential, but it sounds like you did too. It's like when you're pushing to try to make money, and you're forcing something that you're not completely in alignment with and doesn't make you happy, then entrepreneurship's a struggle and it's very hard. And you're not going to make ends meet. But when you begin to operate in alignment with what your purpose is, all of a sudden more opportunities come up, and the growth just happens. Like, it just happens very naturally, like it did for you into your next step. It was like that first thing with Never Alone Recovery for you was that catalyst to have you doing something that you were so good at and had a true purpose and a true calling tied to you, that then it allowed you to grow into the next thing.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that's also a critical component. Is like, I don't know, think about it. Anytime you see somebody who's desperate, like, are you more likely or less likely to hear what they're saying? You know? Because you can sense their motive. And, like, we want to believe, that's the crazy thing. It's like, everybody's got a motive, always, for something, whether they know it or not. There's a motive there. Most of the time it's subconscious. Somebody hasn't done the work internally to figure out what it is that motivates themselves. Fine. But, like, what I've noticed is that there are a ton of times where I didn't know that something was driving me subconsciously, and like, it can be money. Like, for example, if you're trying to just make money and there's no purpose behind it, like there's no drive or passion. Like 99% of the people that I dealt with in the very beginning, the reason they said they dealt with me is because they knew I gave a shit. They could tell it was genuine. And so like, the money doesn't really matter all that much then. And I think there's something to it too. Like, if you're doing it because you love it, you need the money. Like, anybody who says, I don't care at all about, like, whatever, man, that's bullshit. I have to live, right? And, like, I also have to be fair to myself that, like, I'm doing something, I'm offering a service, a product, whatever, that's worth something. It's up to me to decide what that's worth and whether or not I'm willing to take what you're willing to give me for it. But at the same time, it's like, if I love doing it, I'm willing to take less because I get joy out of it anyway. And then I noticed weirdly is like, as I just kind of operated that way, I would actually get more money from people because they knew I would do it the right way and I'd do it honestly with integrity. And I think that not enough can be said about that part of it, especially if you're just starting out.
Yeah, being able to connect with someone on that level, people can tell if they're dealing with somebody who's full of it versus who really has their best interest.
Yeah, I think that's a crucial part. Like, how can I know I can trust you and that you're acting in my interest as well? Like, a hard and fast rule with anybody that I hire now is like, I've told you this, like, if your internal code of ethics doesn't like mirror mine to a degree, then I just won't even deal with it. Because like, if I have to teach you how to operate within my ethical confines, then I have to manage you and babysit. Like, fuck all that. I want to find somebody that has the same values because then I know that they're monitored by themselves. So like I don't have to police you because I know you don't want to be a dishonest, greedy piece of shit. You know what I mean? Especially if you're representing something that I built. That's yeah.
So let's say, what then took you to your next venture? And I mean, let me preface it by saying it's not like you move on from place to place. It's just that you continue to build out more.
Oh yeah.
So tell me about the next step that you took.
Well, I would say it happened when I met you, and you were telling me all this crazy shit. I was having all these like personnel problems, and I don't know. I'm like constantly focused on like. So at that point, I was running the 2 businesses, and then we had the nonprofit too. So it was like already a lot, and so like having to dedicate. I remember one time you told me about like I don't know, pricing out my time and like trying to determine where it's most valuable, because like, you know, creating a graphic and pushing a Facebook ad I might be okay at it, but if it's way more beneficial for me to be doing something else, then why the hell am I doing that? That's where you like hire somebody to do that stuff. And like then you also, I don't know what other crazy shit you told me. I just kind of scoffed and I was like, this lady's crazy, man. I was like, because you're telling me like I want you working 10 hours a week most at this business, and I was like, dude, get out of here. I was like, this lady clearly has no idea what it's like running my business. You know what I mean? It's that ego trip thing of like, there's no way. Because then I have to confront the idea that I've been not knowing what I was doing, or not doing it well enough that I'm managing it effectively, and I was not. But like I told you, like I'll always consider it because I might be wrong, and I did. And then I met you, and we, you know, got rid of some people that needed to go, brought on some new people that were wonderful. And from there, it was like, oh my God, these people actually do their job. I don't have to babysit them. We did the operating agreement, like clear and simple expectation ahead of time, so that everyone likes to know what's expected of them. We all keep a balance sheet, whether we want to admit it or not. In anything, in any relationship, there's always the tit for tat thing. But you know, I think it was really that, and then trying to just determine where my time was most valuable, so that I didn't have to spend, because you remember at that time, like I had just gotten married, or was about to. I was just learning how to be a parent, because she has a son. And we just moved in together. It was like so much shit in such a small period of time. I was losing my... I remember one time you were like on the phone. She came in like and we were yelling at each other or something.
Yes.
About the car keys, and like that was a pivotal moment too, where I was like, hey, you can't do that anymore. I was humiliated, you know, and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and we worked it out, but it was funny. But the whole thing was that like I was so inaccessible to my family because I was so driven by the business, and then honestly, then I would say the spillage. So just like all the extra shit that could have been done by other people but didn't, so I have to pick it all up at the end of the day and clean it all up. It's like an extra 3-4 hours a day doing other people's jobs. And that's where I think you helped me the most. It's like, we're not going to do that anymore. Hey, we're not going to do that. I was like, okay, we're not going to do that. And then we worked through it slowly, but I think cleaning up that time honestly was a huge part. And ironically, because like that's when I like really started trading a lot more. Like, because I had time to actually like look at it and stay involved.
Well, it was right towards the end. I think the first block of time we worked together, I think it was like 6 weeks. And you called me right after, and this was actually right at the beginning of like when the country started to go on shutdown too, at the beginning of the pandemic. We were just wrapping up 6 weeks of working together, where I helped pull you out of the weeds from your companies. And I think you sent me a message, and you were like, hey, I have a question. Is it okay if I start trading? I was like, why are you asking? I was like, if that's what you want, because I think it was the first time you had all this extra time and you didn't know what to do with yourself. And you were like, is this okay? Can I do whatever I want now? And I was like, if that's, because I very clearly remember what a funny question that was. And I was like, if that's what you want to do with your time, go for it. It's your time now.
I didn't know. I almost didn't know what to do with myself.
Well, you didn't know what to do with yourself, so you ended up building another company out of it.
Yeah. that was the start, I guess. It was.
Right. So tell us about that.
Um, so that one, I don't know, that was interesting, man. You know, like most of the people know if you're watching, like I've always, I don't know, I've always liked trading, I've always been interested in it, and I started getting kicked out of these Facebook groups because I would like post these trades that I would take. Like I was just trying to help people out. Like, hey, I'm gonna buy this here, probably sell it here, and they did pretty well. And people just, I don't know, man. They just got so shitty about. I don't understand, but they're just like pissed. They're like, "Who the hell are you? What do you know?" And I'm like, "I don't, not that much. I don't know. I just was posting some stuff, trying to help some people out. What's your motivation?" They just whatever got on me, and so then like I started. I'm a troll at heart, and like the penny boys thing. That's where it came from because like people were talking about penny stocks, and I kept calling them penny boys with an I. Like I love trading those little penny boys, huh? And I would just like comment, say that shit, and I would get kicked out of all these groups. So anyway, I just started a Facebook group, and I was like, you know what? Fuck all this. Let's start a little group. If we want to play some trades together, whatever, we do it, and that's it. And so we did that, and then a couple people were like, hey, how do I get you to like send those to me like in the moment so I don't have to like wait on Facebook? It's like it's too long. I miss them. And I was like, well, I guess I could, because you had introduced me to Slack, which I never used that. And I was like, well, I guess we could just do it on Slack because that's where I was managing the other businesses anyway. So create a Slack channel, and there's like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 people in there. And, you know, they were making some money and doing all right. And then I met Sean Laser, and I was like, hey, dude, you know, there's like 20 people in this little group. Like, you know, I figured it'd be a cool little passive income deal. You know, they're paying this amount per month. Like, if you could just track that. And so, like, obviously people don't pay. Like, then they're not in the group, whatever. But I hate, you know that. I hate spreadsheets. I'm not going to track anything. I refuse to outright. It is what it is. Whatever, man. I just hate it. I hate thinking about it. I don't even like talking about it right now. To be honest, I'm a little upset it's even getting brought up, even if it's by me. But, no, so I got him involved, and I was like, hey, you know, like maybe we just work this as a partnership, whatever. You know, whatever we bring in, we'll split it and try to just kind of do his little passive income. He was working in the oil field, got laid off. So it was like perfect timing, you know, because he had just lost his job. You know, it was Corona. He had some time to spend with his family because he'd made good money, so he could just relax for a little while. And then, honest to God, the whole deal was, he's like, okay, I'll do it, but you have to like give me some one-on-one like teaching and how to trade. And I said, sure, I'll do that, whatever, absolutely. And then to this day, I have still never spent a single one-on-one moment teaching him how to trade. Because it just, like almost I think it was like, I don't know, 30, 40 people. And then like within a month, we had a few big trades, and like it just a flood of people came in. This is the beginning of a lot of people just kind of finding out about the stock market, knowing what it is. And like people were getting on Robinhood and trading, and like some people were making great money. Some people were losing tons of money. And they're just like, I don't know how to do this. I need help. And okay, join this group, blah, blah, blah. So Facebook group starts to grow. We hit some other avenues. Sean's brought in, or Laser. And then, honest to God, I think the next month was when I found Lee, Mr. Stocklock. He was running his own group that I was in. And I was like, hey, why don't you forget about this group? Let's build this other one instead. I got, you know, there's like 100 people in here. I was like, why don't you come over to this one, and we'll just build this one to be massive. And so he did. And, which was awesome because, like, you know, it was too much for just one person. Plus, we traded. It was perfect. We traded very differently and all that. And then, honest to God, from there, it just, like, it exploded because we did extremely well. Like, you know, if you started trading in March, like, it wasn't that hard to do well. But once the market began to simmer down in, like, June, like, it kind of showed you, like, who's good at this and who was just lucky. And we continued to do very well. And so, like, as we just continued to do well, like, people just kept flooding in. And, yeah, we moved it to Discord, and we lost some people along the way because they were like Slack is enough. I don't even want to move platforms. Like, I remember it felt like such a big decision. This one, there's like 40 people in the group. We thought it was like a huge decision to move. Like, oh, we're gonna lose so many people. Blah blah blah. And it's just so funny to think about now. It's like, sometimes we'll have like a day where 40 people join. It's crazy, but yeah. So we were just worried about that, and then we moved it over, and it was just made much more sense. But then it was also like, I don't even remember just how much of a mess it was. Like the Discord itself, the organization, and the layout. Holy shit. And we just, I don't know. We knew how to trade, but like we didn't know what the hell we were doing as far as like running it like a business and like offering quality product, blah, blah. Like trades are good, yeah, but like that's a whole new thing of like moderating people, like doing this, all that. Our original process was like you comment in a channel, then you get a message. Once you get a message, then you get the payment info. Once you get the payment info, then you pay it on a separate app. Then you screenshot the payment back to Laser, and then he adds you in. It was like a 90-step process to get people in. So if you came in at that time, I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that horrendous process. We're idiots.
Well, it was about that point when I started messaging you again, and you had stuck me in the group when it was on Slack to check it out. So then I got moved over to Discord, and I remember messaging you and being like, I want to talk to you about this new thing you've got going on. It was about that time. But like, how many people are in that Facebook group now?
Oh, like 60,000.
So not on your Discord. 60,000. You started that group 1 year ago, right? Mm-hmm. 1 year ago. 60,000 people in that Facebook group. Yeah. And then from there, the people in Discord are the ones that receive like the real-time alerts.
Yeah, and we really we post them occasionally outside there, but like 99%, you're always getting it first in there. That's the way to put it. That's where everything goes first.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that as a company now? What started as a hobby and something for you to kill your time with?
I'm torn because it's like, I love the name Penny Boys, but it was also a horrific joke. And like, it was just a joke. Like no one, like, to me the coolest part is that like none of us knew what we were sitting on. Like we didn't know what we had. And like I think it's so cool because like it kind of just became like a people of like, I don't know, like Corona was like, it was rough. Like you get immediately isolated and separated from like everything you know. And so like then we find this like really weird like online community, trading community. It was a lot different then, like where I don't know. The way I conducted myself in there, I guess. And like but it was cool because it's like, here we all are like basically locked in our houses at the beginning of like lockdowns and stuff. A lot of people lost their jobs. They're going through some shit. I don't know anybody else who's like dating someone, married, living together. Being around the person you live with 24/7 is fucking stressful. To be thrown in that too, especially if you have kids and now they're home all the time. No escape, It's just a lot of stress. But like, I think a lot of us kind of found community and like, I don't know, a place to be that was like, all right, I like being here. And like, I think that's honestly what attracted people most, is that it was just a good place to be. The trades were good, and like that's when we started like, hey, we want to like do the education part, which is essential. But most of all, I think it was just that, like, we were always honest with people. Like we just did our best to be honest. Like, hey, we'll do our best, find these trades, here's what you get, blah blah blah. And you won't be talked down to. That was a big thing that we were like fucking really intense and moderating in the beginning, because like with trading, it's like typically a male-dominated area where it's like about as frat as you can get. It's about as frat star as you can get, and like that's so dumb. I don't know, like talking down to somebody that lost money because they don't know what they're doing. It's just stupid. It doesn't help anyone. It's like, it's just a way to try to feel better about yourself when really you hate yourself. So like, what's the point? So like, we kind of just wanted to change the dynamic of this whole thing, honestly. Which I guess is kind of a big visionary thing, I guess, when you think about it now in retrospect.
Well, there's I think there's when you look about the way this started and the way it took off quick, and you compare it to when you started Never Alone, both of those you had the I'll call it the customer, the person you were helping on the other side. You had their best intention in mind, and that in your community now, in the Penny Boys community, is very evident because when someone has a hard time, like you guys reach out and you make sure you're taking care of them, and you're when you were talking about turning that into a company and what it all entails, customer service was always at the top of your list. Like, you always wanted to make sure that the people in your community were taken care of and that they felt welcome and at home there. And that was always something that you strived for. So I see the parallel within the two things. And it's another example of how when you're so aligned with something and you want to come from your heart when you do it, that it pays off.
Yeah. And I think that you just kind of attract the people. I don't know. That's what's cool. Is like there's some people, like, they would come in toxic, but you give them 2-3 weeks and it changes because it's just what they're used to. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just used to that kind of shit. And I think now it's so awesome. So, like, we have, like, I don't know, I think like 20 staff or so that, like, immediately you're just like, you're hit with all the information you need. This is where you need to go. Join this, which is like PVU, the education program. We get you in. There's guides that have been through it, understand the basics of it, can, like, walk you through it. Because you look at, like, the GameStop thing. There's a lot of people that came in, like, frantic. I lost all my money. I don't know what to do. One guy that was like, dude, I put my whole savings account into a trading account, and, like, I'm down like 60% and I'm on disability. Like, that's a terrifying prospect. That's not, don't do that. But instead of just shame him, we're like, all right, well, it's just more important that you pay attention now than ever. And, like, let's do it. Let's buckle down and just get it done. Figure this out, because what other choice do you have?
And when we let me circle back on entrepreneurship for a second to say, March 2020, Austin creates a Facebook group and then a Slack channel. March 2021, Austin references that he has 20 people helping to support this company. So if that is not a testament to how quickly the journey can move, I don't know what is.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. And, like, what blows my mind, or, like, I guess it's laughable now, is, like, the other day, through just mutual connection and meeting people, like, something I've been working on for the group is to get us, like, access to companies, like, before they go public, which has typically been reserved for, like, accredited investors. So you're making $250,000 a year, or you have $1 million invested. Like, it's not most people. And I realized that I was talking to a guy that was running, like, I think it's like a $700 million company. I was just, like, laughing.
Well,
like, what is going on?
It's not just that, but you've been interviewed by different financial publications, right?
Barron's,
like,
yeah, twice.
Yeah.
That blows my mind, too.
Yeah.
I thought it was just, like, some rinky-dink, like, newspaper. And then I told my dad, I was like, have you ever heard of Barron's Financial? Because I'm doing an interview tonight, and he called me. He said, like, what are you talking about? And he was, like, freaking out about it. Like, what the hell? I don't know, man. I don't know.
He was like, that's my son.
Yeah, I guess. I guess. And then I found out it's a global publication. It's like one of the biggest financial newspapers or news outlets that exists. And I don't know. I just laugh about it all. Because it's like it doesn't feel real still. I think that's I don't know. I think that's an important part with anything. Is like, I was just told once, like, treat life like a curious child. There's never any other way you have to look at it. Like, if you can walk through life like a curious little kid, like, number one, you'll always find what you're looking for. And number two, you'll always be quite happy doing it. You'll enjoy the ride, I guess. Yeah. And I think that's kind of like an entrepreneurship's bane, where, like, I don't know what's his face. Gary V talks about like there's some people it's like maybe it's better if you just run a business. Like people want to like okay my business is making 800, or my business is making 80 grand a year, but I want it to make 500 grand a year. Like for some people, it actually just makes more sense to just like you're making 80 to 100 grand a year. That's a phenomenal salary, and you're enjoying it and you're happy. Versus like when you start to climb those rungs and it becomes bigger, sometimes you're not happier. Sometimes it's worse. Like sometimes it's far worse.
I think that it depends on. I think a lot of times what I see, because I get a lot of people who send me messages or reach out on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, and they're at the point where they're beginning, but they're trying to go from 0 to 150 in 10 days, and we miss I think a lot of times we're so focused on the result that we forget to be curious and to love the process. And when you love the process, the result is just what happens. It's not the thing that you're focused on and you're driving towards, and then you're upset, and then the entrepreneurship is becoming the bane of your existence. It's like becoming the best way I guess I can say it is that you have to be in love with the thing that you're doing every day to get to that result. Otherwise, you won't ever hit that result.
Yeah. Plus, I think that's where you find the gold. Like, there's so many times when I was doing something and I was terrible at it, but it was something that needed to be done. Where I either learn that okay, it's not for me to be doing it, and I hire somebody and I find someone great that does way more than I expected, or I figure out the right way to do it. But if I wasn't like poking around, like I call it, like I wasn't just jostling around, I would have never figured that out. Like this guy that's running and doing all this marketing for those huge pre-IPO companies, like I just was open to a conversation, and I just kind of ended up there. But because I didn't close my mind, to the prospect of whatever it was, like why not have the conversation? It was like perfect event. Like I was in a meeting. It wasn't that convenient, but it was like, what's the cost here of having this? It wasn't much. Like my kid was asleep. My wife was just watching TV. It was 20 minutes. Why not see what it's about? And just poke around a little bit. And like honestly, everything I've found that's been awesome, that's kind of expanded things and like made things better, or like been an idea that's helped us improve something. Which like some of the key people that have been involved in this, like just for a few, like a lot of them been here since the beginning. John, Eddie, Duck, Nick, like James, everybody. It's just they kind of just fell into place. There were a series of random conversations of people that are like, if I was not open and paying attention, it would have never happened. They would have either gone somewhere else, they would have done something different. But I don't know. We just kind of kept an eye out for people that like really like to be here and like I said, kind of mimic the values that we have for it, like as an organization. And then we bring those people in and then let them do more. Because it's like what better people to be an extension of like what like the brand means or whatever than people that have like used it, lived through it, and still do. And like whatever that brand is like is something that's helped them. Why wouldn't they be the biggest proponent of growing whatever it is? And I think people just like they hold themselves and their own business hostage sometimes by thinking that I'm the only one that knows, or I'm the only one that makes public facing posts, or I'm the only, righteous indignance on my really high horse, but if I'm up there alone, what's the point?
Right.
But
right.
I'll also say again, just to stress the importance of like you helping me get to the point where I didn't have all these like, I don't like the word inefficiencies, but like, I don't know what you'd call it. Just,
I think it's like, not, I'm going to try to say it in the most gentle way possible. It's like not prioritizing your time correctly because you don't realize how or that you are even able to prioritize where you spend your time.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where I see, like, when you say inefficiencies, it's because from your point of view, you're like, I can do all these things, and I want to be the one who's in control of everything and can do this all. And but then when you look at like the cost of your time and wanting to spend your time with your family or whatever else you want to spend your time on, like even just freeing yourself up for a new opportunity, I think that's what you have to recognize and look at.
I would agree. So what was your moment? Let's hear it. Cause you
What
were
was my
Miss,
moment?
yeah, you're Miss Big Bucks, Miss Corporate, making a killing, doing the same thing.
Yes.
What happened? What was the change?
So what was the there was a pivotal point, um and for me, I I was working around the clock, and I didn't feel like I had a team, but I didn't feel like we could accomplish everything that we needed to accomplish within 24 hours in a day. And I also didn't want my team to feel the amount of pressure that I felt from the executives and from other people at the company. So I would take a lot of that burden on. Anyway, I didn't sleep for a long time. Like, I'm talking, I set my alarm for 40 minutes a night, um, for almost, maybe more than a year. I was going on 40 minutes a night of sleep. And somewhere in there, I began to lose my mind, and I realized I needed to leave my job, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
And so I resigned. And the day I resigned, I actually ended up in the emergency room because of not sleeping for. I developed vestibular neuritis. The ENT said that there was a nerve inside my inner ear which had swollen up, and it was pressing on. The way I understand it is that it was pressing on my optic nerve,
Ugh.
and so my vision was it was a constant nystagmus, which is drunk driver
Oh.
vision, but didn't go away. So I would, like, if I think back to teenage Erica, who would get really drunk and have to stick her hand on the wall to stay. I had never felt that way until again when I developed this, and it was weeks that I felt that way. When I was discharged from the hospital, I went home with a home health care nurse with a walker. The week before, I was running 5 miles a day, and I was discharged with a home health care nurse. And the basically, the one of those first days home, my husband went out and got me Chick-fil-A, and we have our 2 kids at home too. So at the time they were not quite 1 and not quite 3. And I heard my daughter's first word. He brought the Chick-fil-A back, and she picked up a French fry and she said French fry. So like my that was I remember that being the first like clear word that my youngest daughter had said to me, and I was like, this is all the stuff that I've been missing while I've been working for 22 hours a day. That was my pivotal, like, want to change something moment.
Yeah. Worth it?
1,000,000%. The funny thing is, like, you don't know what the world is really like until you expose yourself to all of these different things. And I always knew that, you don't know what you don't know. I always understood that, but I don't think I really understood it until I left the job, and I was like, holy crap, there's this whole world that I have not experienced or known anything about. And the possibilities are absolutely endless. And I had always thought that I was predetermined to be in a path or in a role or in a box. And when I left my job, that was the first time that I was like, I can do what I want and build what I want to build. And there really is no limit or reason why I can't.
So freedom.
Yeah. Freedom.
I think I don't know, there's something about creative action of the spirit that just is the way. And I think the internet is the great equalizer. I don't think there's any real reason to caution against, like, I don't know. It's not for everybody, and I hate saying that, and I don't want to, like, squash anyone's dreams. I don't want to limit them, but, like, you know, I don't know. I talk to a lot of people in the group even that are like, I'm just going to quit, and I'm just going to trade full-time, quit my job. And it's like, you know, if you're good at it, like, if you could show me 3 years of consistently winning, right on. Like, at that point, you know what you're doing. But, like, you've been doing this from March, which not all-time lows, but relative all-time lows. Everyone did pretty well from March, April, and May, you know? Like, gotta be honest with I think if we're honest with ourselves, and, like, if you become, like, I don't know, think back, I might have sent it to you at some point, but, like, this Alan Watts video, it's really simple, but it's like, in a moment of need, I just heard the right thing at the right time. It's just like, hey, if you become a master of something, then anyone will pay you for it. You just have to be worth the cost of admission. And that's kind of, I think, something that you'd already mastered that job, in essence. Like, not doing it as an independent, so running the business part of it, but the job at least. And I think that's the thing with, like, the internet being what it is. If you can find a niche and you can fill it and you're good at it, you can absolutely build a business. Absolutely.
I mean,
and
the abundance of opportunities. But, you know, I think that there's this interesting point where there's a lot of people who are experts and who are really good at something, but they don't understand that they can break out of a box, and they don't understand how they would translate what they do. Because this was me probably for the first year. I remember thinking, like, I was really, really, really good at this. Like, I got recruited by companies specifically to build out global organizations. So how do I translate that into doing that on my own, like, as a free agent, you know? How do I do that? So that was like a big mindset shift. Being able to overcome the freedom, understand how to harness it, I guess.
Did you ever have a problem with the time aspect? Like, being kind of free, like, no expectations put on you. You got to set the timeline yourself. You got to discipline yourself. You got to manage it yourself. Or have you just always been master organization extraordinaire?
I have the opposite. I would have the opposite problem where, since I'm a chronic workaholic, I, you know, rented an office right off the bat, and I would go to the office from early morning until dinner time. And I don't know at what point I was like, what in the world what did I just create for myself? Because this feels an awful lot like what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So what I had to do to combat that and to let myself take more of that freedom approach was build in. First of all, I moved my office. Now I'm only 4 minutes from my house, so I still have a separate space, so I can't hear the kids yell. But I have a separate space, and I'm not far away. But I specifically block out times to, like, I'm home for lunch every day for an hour and a half. I walk my daughter to kindergarten every day. I'm home by 5 p.m. Wednesdays, I'm home all morning. Fridays, I'm usually home all day. So when I think about it, I probably have about a 15 or 20 hour work week now versus when I started and I was trying too hard.
Yeah.
And then when I stopped trying so hard and I started enjoying things, I mean, like, business has to be at least 5 times more than it was. At least. I'd have to do the math. But yeah.
And you're in control of your own time.
Right.
I think that's the biggest part, because something that I didn't even think about, honestly, until the last, like, 6 months is, like, what do I actually want out of all of this? Like, what do I really want for this at the end of the day? Like, 5-10 years, like, where do I stand in it? And, like, I still don't know the answer. I want it to be something that outlives me. That I do know. Because I want it to outlive me. And I think that, like, I don't know. as you said, like when there's alignment within and without, I think that's the key. Because then it like I don't know, you create something that creates more things and it reaches more people and it can do more good. Or at least try. But at the end of the day, help somebody else get to the point where it's like, oh, thank God. Now I can do this too. Like we've had people, it's like, I don't know, still my favorite one, Sanja, like she started, I believe it was like 3 jobs when she started in the group and didn't know anything about trading, like didn't really, she just was like, I'll give it a shot. Has multiple kids, single mom, busting her ass for the whole family, and then she just buckled down. She learned months, but like I believe now, last I talked to her, she's like doubled her account like 3 times, taking the money out, put a down payment on a car, quit one of the jobs. Like that's, I don't know. To me, that's the point. I don't know where he's at, but my one guy, he just bought a truck. Like, that's awesome. Like that, just to be able to do, like fuck the material things. But the ability to do them without like the soul crushing panic of like debt and like what are we gonna do and like what are we gonna eat this month because we don't have any money. Like that's awful. And I think the freedom from that to not be a cog in the machine. That's the goal.
Yeah, and enabling people to become that way.
Yeah.
Is the purpose. Yeah.
Because I'm unemployable now.
Me too. You were already unemployable.
Well, yeah. That's why I got fired from every job. So it's so funny, like seeing him. I did see one. I actually lived next door to my very first ever manager at the first job I ever had at this Japanese restaurant. One day she was like, just like, you go home. I was like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. No, don't come back. All right. And now I live next door to her. It's funny. This is, the irony is like he always comes back full circle, but I think that's the thing. It's to enjoy it. I don't know what I'd do if like I couldn't, like Colleen will just pop in with the baby while I'm working. Like just it's so nice because it's not like I don't have the time to like take like at least not most days where I could like, hey, for 4 hours I'm gonna cut this time out and just do nothing. But it's like I don't need it as bad. I've noticed when like I get to have the accessibility. That's what she said she likes, is that I'm accessible. Like she's like, if I need you, I like that I can just come get you, And I think that's the thing, is just to be home. And what's crazy, man, and I feel bad. Like I feel my heart breaks for all the people I've been through a lot during Corona. But like, I'll be honest with you, this has been the single best year of my entire life from then until now. And I think that kind of tells you, I don't know, like, because I took it as an opportunity. And I think that's like a little more, I think it's applicable in business, but like, dude, me and my wife didn't get along all the time. Like, we were in the same place in this cramped, we lived in a much smaller house. Like, we were cramped together. And like, of course we'd bicker and shit, but like, it gave us like the biggest opportunity to like, just spend time with each other. That was like one of the coolest parts. Like, I really got to know her completely. Whereas like, I feel like I kind of didn't, in a way. It's like, yeah, but I had like all my own friends and like everything, but like it was like I think like the opportunity to be confronted with things and like work through them rather than just avoid them or go around them, which I think like any good entrepreneur like wants to go headlong into those things. Like if there's a struggle, a problem, like I think like inherently problem solvers become entrepreneurs. Like if you're not a problem solver, I don't know how you do this. You know what I mean? In one way, shape, or form, people who enjoy solving the puzzle are, I think, the ones that end up doing it the most. But like, I don't know, I liked what you said. It's like really just like, can I confront the truth about myself? I think if you could do that, you can do this because you have the internet. It's a great equalizer. It's the ultimate opportunity for everyone. And makes it cool with what so what we're gonna do. How many spots are left in the deal, the little beta round for for the consultant thing?
3. I think we have 3 spots left.
So, if anybody's interested in that, I think it's only 3. So you can message me. I'd prefer if you message me on Discord. That's where I'm at the most. Or I'm gonna tag Erica's page. We're gonna be partnering on a little deal. I will have nothing to do with operations or anything. You can keep me out of that. But we're looking for is like smaller scale entrepreneurs. Like, what would you say is like income level? You're good at figuring that out.
Yeah, I think that smaller scale, either just starting or been at it for a little while and trying to figure out
Try and
how
turn
to
it into a
open things
business.
up. Yeah, turn it into a business.
That's kind of who we're trying to cater to. It's like our goal is like try to like, I don't know. We have to like get to know the business intimately. More importantly, have to get to know you intimately to figure out what it is you want to accomplish. And then the part of like helping you figure out, like Kevin's a great example. Like, you know, hey, I got these skills. I don't know which way I'm going to go with it to help you out. It's 2 totally different businesses, in my opinion, to help him figure out, you know, is it better to sell this to a consumer? Is it better to sell this to another business? Like, what's the deal? To figure out kind of the direction you want to go, the branding, although that lawyer's on board to do all the legal stuff too, right? So all the legal aspects of organizing your business, which I think is very important from a tax liability standpoint, into all the HR, the operations stuff, like basically full scale. Build a business from nothing. Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing in the world. I love starting a good business. I kind of run my family. Our family kind of runs like a business. It does. That was the smartest thing me and my wife ever did. Is like okay, here's your area of responsibility. Here's mine. Here's what you need to do it. Here's what I need to do it. You know, like have our little communication of like, you know, here's how we get it done. I think that's the way to do it. Like it helps us like budget things and like do all that mundane shit nobody wants to do, but like it kind of needs to be done. And I think it's just about doing all those things so that you have the freedom to do. Because I've been going with her to pick up the boy from school, and like I never really realized how much I would actually love that. You know what I mean? Like it seems like what I notice about myself, because we have about like 5-10 minutes, is like I would keep saying, "I'll come with you tomorrow. I'll come with you tomorrow." I pretty much did that the whole time he's in 2nd grade. And then you know how much they grow from 2nd to 3rd grade. And then it was like, holy shit, I don't want to miss that anymore. Like I do sometimes, obviously, but like I want to be there more than I'm not. I think that's the cool part. But I don't know. The more I learn, the less I know. So
Exactly.
who the fuck knows?
Totally agree.
Made it all up. Is it even real? Who knows? I still feel like I'm about to get like woken up with an IV and I'm in a coma somewhere. It doesn't feel real. I feel like someone's gonna slap me and they're like, "Hey."
Don't say that, because that means I'm in there too.
Ooh, that would mean that everyone's a figment of my imagination. That's kind of exciting. Sorry, I got on a rabbit hole, but I'm really glad you did this. So we're gonna try to do a couple of these, like more like. I want to do one where it's like an introduction with Erica. You get to know more about her. And then our goal is to kind of do a couple that just kind of, what would you say, like the basic starting building blocks, like the foundation of building a business, to just kind of extend off what we've already been trying to do and just, I don't know, give you information to help yourself, really. We can't do anything with it other than give it to you. From there, it's your choice, but... that's the goal. So we're trying to figure out schedule every couple weeks, once a month, not really sure. I'm going to put some polls in Discord just because there's a lot of interest at first, but I just want to make sure that it's something that's worth, like she's helped me understand, like that's worth the time of doing. So if people are willing to listen and take it in, then it's worth doing.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Okay, I gotta go, so, oh my god.
Yeah, I know you do.
Alright, thank you. I'm gonna tag Erica's page too in this. If you want to look into it, it'll be in the comments there. Do you want me to just use the Erica page?
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Bienvenidos. But yeah, thanks everybody who popped in here. We much appreciate it. I hope you all do well. If you have any questions, comment them in here, message me on Discord, whatever works for you. So yeah, love y'all. Stay blessed. Goodbye.